So I think this is an incredibly fun puzzle. It's the 3 by 3 by 9, and I like to think of it as a combination of two puzzles. The first one, easily you can see, is the 3 by 3, right? Because it has the whole 3 by 3 structure with centers and edges and all. But once we get later in the solve, it is very reminiscent to the square one, which doesn't. There's really no clear resemblance other than the shape. However, when we approach the solve, we'll have all the layers lined up, and now we'll just be turning the layers independently while we make just clean 180-degree slices. So that way the layers still stay lined up, and you'll see this later. So first, what I want to do, I want to solve it like a regular 3 by 3, but I also want to pay attention to that these edges are in their correct orientation. So first, let's actually get the centers in the right spot. So that's now the centers are horizontal, but this one over here, it's not so good. So, and I'm not paying attention to the colors down here. I just care if it's flat. This will get messed up later, and I don't want to put in, more effort than I need to. So this will just be whatever. I'm just looking for flat areas right now. So that edge is in the correct spot. Let's see, what other edges could we put? There's this edge, we can put this in here. There's this green and orange edge, so we'll put that in here between the green and orange centers. And this is actually my second time recording this. Before, I would have this and this side just completely, taking up the whole camera, so you just see me make, just random turns. But now, from this perspective, you can actually see what's going on in like the fun part of the cube. Where else is there an edge? Oh, here. So it's blue and red. So I can do this. So now the whole center layer is solved. And let me just make the top only yellow and white. So that's good. Whoops. That's good. That's good. Yeah, so this is how you would just see me doing the solve the whole time, just making random 180-degree turns. So now the way we approach this is similar to the square one, where when we solve the square one, we would actually, solve the corners and then the edges, right? Once we had everything in the right spot. But over here, if we don't know where the corners or edges or what layer they are supposed to belong on. For example, this is a red and green edge, and over here, if we come across like a red and green corner, we don't know if it's on the top or bottom. Well, over here on the square one we do, because one side is yellow, one side is white, and so if it's yellow, it easily belongs on the yellow side. Here, there are no internal stickers, so we would have to use context to find out which side these belong on. And in fact, we can already tell that this does not belong on the side it's on, because this can only be red on one side and green on the other. So that means it would have to be on the other side. So if I move this to the other side, so this is the same edge, and now everything lines up. So we know this is on its correct layer. And so is this. This one is on the incorrect layer, because it only matches up with one of the colors. But if we bring it over here, it would match with two. So these two are correct. Is this one correct? This one is correct. So that means this is the only incorrect one. So where is the one that doesn't belong up here that we need to swap it with? So that one is good. That one is good. This one is good as well. So it has to be this one. And yep. So let's take this one and match it with this one, or have them be next to each other. So that way when we pair them up and bring them back down, they are in the right space. And we've accidentally solved the this other layer over here. But if, let's say, these corners were permuted like some different way, then we would just take the same approach to solving the square one. So yeah, I think I may have messed up trying to provide a lesson like corner permutation, but oh well. So alright, cool, we're back to normal. So now edge permutation. So we have these corners, now we have these edges. They're really centers, but you know, for the sake of the video, these are the edges. These are corners, these are edges. Yes. So on the 3x3, we have this little algorithm where if we just turn right twice and up twice 3 times, we would get these little, I know it looks like a face, but the key idea is that we swap 2 edges on one axis and swap 2 edges on a parallel axis. And so we'll employ something similar here, where this red belongs back here. So we swap it 3 times, and so now the red's in its right place, and we swapped these 2 edges. And right now we want them to unswap. So in fact, if we put these across from each other, if we put these on opposite sides, then we could do this little flipping algorithm. So if I do that, now they're across from each other, and now I can do this thing. And now I just have to make sure I got the order correct. Yeah, it's really hard to keep track when your algorithm is really long. But essentially, I took these things, I put them across from each other, and then I swapped them. Once we get to these layers, it'll get much easier because then we can employ 3x3 algorithms to help swap things within its own layer. But for now, we'll just have to deal with these center layers, and then we'll move out from there. So we need to swap these 2. So let's actually bring those to the top. 2, 3. And this is where we get the issue of parity, where we need to swap 2 more pieces to undo this, but there are no pieces to swap. Well, actually there are pieces to swap, and we'll just use 2 red pieces. And just like that, now we can swap these red pieces and swap these back. And now let's see if I remember the order. Uh-oh, did I forget? No, I didn't. Alright, cool. So we swapped 2 red pieces and these 2. So we put them in the right spot, so that way we could have performed that little snake eye algorithm. And now we have the whole middle layer solved. And so now we'll just repeat this outwards, although this time we can employ 3x3 algorithms. So first let's just get the corners squared off. So this one is correct. This one is wrong. This one is wrong, and this one is wrong. So we only have one correct corner over here. Let's see. This one's also incorrect on the other side, so now we have 2 correct corners. This one is wrong. This one should belong up there. And this one is wrong, so it should also belong up there. So let me bring its home down, move it across, bring it back up. All right, cool. So now we have, whoops, I'm getting a phone call. The video's not pausing because my mouse is malfunctioning. Mothers, am I right? She's just making sure I didn't have a girlfriend yet. Little does she know. Well, actually, she'll probably find this video eventually, so, Mom, if you're watching this, I don't have a girlfriend. To everyone else, I don't know what. Anyways, back to the topic of the video. So we have all of these corners in their spot, and so that means we know for certain that all of these corners are on the right layer. So in fact, we just need to swap these 2. So I could just do a little thing called a T-perm, which swaps 2 corners and 2 edges, and it swaps the whole of the corner. So that means, you know, we don't really care about these edges, but it'll now swap these. And then let's turn this over, and we can. Now things will get tricky once we go to the other layers, because if we try to do this corner swap, it'll swap these as well. So, but there is a strategy to get around that. And it turns out that, oh, I'm looking at the wrong layer. So we have everything correct. Now, let's see if we can. So these edges needs to swap. Alright, so we just need these to swap, and we also need, well, this is just a z-perm. Oh, well, it's fine. We can fix that later. But for now, let's just, so we have everything else is correct. Yeah, a consequence of the z-perm is that it does rotate centers. Right, on the 3x3, you wouldn't be able to tell if a center was rotated, but over here, rotating centers do have consequences. But it's fine. There's a way to undo this. And in fact, parity comes up here as well, where if one center is rotated, there needs to be another center that's unrotated. So it probably was one of these centers that were affected. And you can also independently rotate a center twice. So, back to this. So we want to swap two of these. And the way I'll do it is I'll actually bring this one over here, so that way, yeah, so that way when we swap around the edges, notice nothing gets affected here, but now we have a corner swap over here, and now I can employ J-perm, which swaps these two corners in adjacent edges, and the reason I brought up the green one first is because we would have eventually had to swap the corners, which what the J-perm did, and then unswap them, but that would have just left us with unsolved corners and solved edges. So first I decided to incorrect the corners, or make the corners incorrect, and then correct them while solving the edges at the same time. But that is 5 out of the 9 layers done. So now we have these layers as well. So this one is not right. This one is not right. This one is not right either. So this is the only correct edge. So this one is also the only correct edge. So we can, so that one is good. That one is good. That one is also good. Are these good? These are not good. So that means these two and these two have to swap. So I'll bring those up, so now they're all on the one layer. I can do a rotation and bring those back down. And now all the corners are in the right layer, and the right permutation as well, funny enough. Let's see. So we need these two to swap, and we need a blue edge up here. So in fact, what I will do, so this is where things get complicated. I think I'll just do a regular algorithm. So it'll be and that swaps two adjacent edges, but also does this whole thing. But instead of one slice, now it's every slice. But it's fine. So let's try swapping this red with this blue. Right, and now we'll employ the algorithm again. And now we'll just undo everything. So now that layer is solved, and we just need to cycle these edges. And so we'll actually not run into parity here because two swaps where one does the parity and one undoes the parity. So let's do the one that swaps opposite corners or opposite edges. And now we do one that swaps adjacent edges. Alright, now we don't even have to just worry about you know, what colors on the right and wrong spot. We can now look at the yellow and white stickers. So let's just, this is very reminiscent of the square one solved. And look at that, we can actually employ that little snake eye parity again, where we would just go one, whoops, oh, I did it on the wrong side. You see, it's important that they have to be lined up. Alright, now it'll work. Look at that. And now these two need to swap. So what I can do is I'll employ the T-perm. So, but instead of swapping these two, I will swap these two, which will create incorrections in the lower layers, and then I will swap those two, which will fix the lower layers. So right now those other layers are messed up, but if I just do that again, now they're fixed, and yeah, the top layer is good. And I'll do the same thing over here, although this needs two swaps, so I'll do a swap here and a swap here. That's one. That's two. So now we just need these, and I'll just do the thing I've always been doing. Oh, and to help develop intuition of what the algorithm looks like, it's good to see it from with this perspective. So yeah, let me just start by swapping two opposite edges. And now I can swap the two adjacent ones. And now pay attention to what happens at the top here. I think it's cool. So we have our little snake. It gets broken. It crawls around. Its little head is over here. Starts chasing itself, hides away, the head goes away, and now everything comes back, and now since this is back to its spot, come down here, and now everything is solved, although I guess this is debatably not solved. So what I've noticed is that the little the edge 3 cycle algorithm on the 3x3 actually rotates this. So I know there are probably better ways. Whoops, please don't tell me I already forgot. Okay, but the little edge 3 cycle rotates the cube, and so if we do this 3 times, this will get rotated 3 times, which is an autumn out, which means this will be horizontal. So that does it, but now we have to cycle those. Alright, now everything is solved, and it's back in order. Alright, thank you for watching.